The sun peeked over the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and gold. Mahmud, a young orphan boy, stirred from his slumber. He shared a humble dwelling with his aging grandparents, who had cared for him since he was a baby. Their small cottage, with its thatched roof and mud brick walls, nestled peacefully amidst rolling hills. Mahmud's days were filled with the simple rhythms of life as a shepherd. He tended to his flock of goats, guiding them to the greenest pastures and ensuring their safety. The goats were his companions, their gentle bleating a familiar melody in his ears. He knew each goat by name, their individual markings and quirky personalities. As the sun climbed higher, casting long shadows across the land, Mahmud would often find a shady spot under a gnarled olive tree. He'd pull out his grandfather's old flute, its wooden surface worn smooth with time. The melodies he coaxed from the instrument echoed through the valley, a testament to his kind heart and gentle spirit. Life was peaceful, but Mahmud couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. He yearned for more than the familiar routine of his days. He dreamt of a life beyond the hills, a life filled with adventure and purpose. One evening, as the sky blazed with the colors of the setting sun, Mahmud sat with his grandmother outside their cottage. They sipped on sweet mint tea, its aroma filling the air. Mahmud's heart was heavy with unspoken longing. His grandmother, her eyes wise with the experiences of a long life, placed a comforting hand on his. "You have a good heart, Mahmud," she said, her voice raspy but kind. "But there is a whole world waiting for you beyond these hills." Mahmud's eyes widened. He had never dared to voice his dreams aloud, but his grandmother seemed to have read his mind. Do you think I could have a different life?" he stammered, his voice filled with a mix of hope and uncertainty. "Of course, my child," his grandmother replied, her eyes twinkling. "You are young, strong, and full of potential. The city holds many opportunities for those who dare to seek them." Mahmud's heart soared at his grandmother's words. The city. It seemed like a distant and magical place filled with bustling crowds and endless possibilities, yet a pang of guilt tugged at his conscience. What about his grandparents? Who would care for them if he left? Seeing the worry etched on his grandson's face, Mahmud's grandfather spoke up. "Your grandmother is right, Mahmud," he said, his voice gruff but laced with affection. "You must forge your own path." "But grandfather," Mahmud protested, "what about you and grandmother? Who will look after you?" His grandfather chuckled, a sound that rumbled deep in his chest. "We have managed all these years, haven't we?" he said, winking at his wife. "Besides," he added, his voice softening, "we wouldn't want to clip your wings. Go and explore the world. Make us proud." Mahmud knew his grandparents were right. He yearned for adventure, for a chance to make something of himself. But he also knew he couldn't leave until he was certain they would be cared for. He vowed to work hard, save every penny he could, and ensure his grandparents had enough to live comfortably before embarking on his own journey. And so, Mahmud continued his life as a shepherd, but with a renewed sense of purpose. He worked tirelessly, tending to his goats with even greater care and dedication. Every evening, he would meticulously count the coins he earned from selling goat cheese and milk at the village market. Months turned into a year, and Mahmud's savings grew steadily. He kept his earnings hidden beneath a loose floorboard in his room, his heart swelling with pride every time he added to his growing stash. He knew it wouldn't be long now. Soon he would have enough to secure his grandparents' future and set off on his own adventure. One crisp morning, Mahmud decided to take his goats to a distant pasture, known for its lush grass and sweet wildflowers. It was a long journey, one that would take him across a winding valley and through a dense olive grove. As he walked, his mind raced with thoughts of the city, of the life that awaited him there. Section 5. A Cry for Help. The sun was high overhead, casting a sweltering heat across the valley when Mahmud heard a faint cry for help. He paused, his hand shielding his eyes from the glare. The cry seemed to be coming from the direction of a rocky outcrop where the path narrowed precariously. With growing concern, Mahmud hurried towards the sound. As he rounded the bend, he spotted an elderly woman sitting precariously on a large boulder. Her face was etched with worry, and her frail hand clutched at her chest as if struggling for breath. "Please, young man," the woman called out, her voice raspy with exhaustion. "Can you help me? I seem to have lost my way." Section 6. Kindness knows no bounds. Without hesitation, Mahmud rushed to the woman's aid. He gently helped her down from the boulder, his strong arms supporting her frail frame. "Don't worry, grandmother," he said, his voice filled with concern. "I will help you." The woman smiled gratefully at the young shepherd. "Thank you, kind sir," she said. "I am afraid old age has made me rather forgetful. I was on my way to visit my sister in the next village, but I seem to have taken a wrong turn." Mahmud listened patiently as the woman explained her predicament. He recognized her as one of the elders from a neighboring village, known for her wisdom and kindness. "Don't you worry, grandmother," he reassured her. "I know the way to your sister's village. It's not too far from here. Come, let me help you." Section 7. A Gift Beyond Measure. As they walked, Mahmud carefully guided the elderly woman along the rocky path. He made sure she didn't stumble, offering her his arm for support. The sun beat down on them, but Mahmud didn't complain. He knew that helping those in need was the right thing to do, even if it meant delaying his journey. Finally, after what felt like hours, they reached the outskirts of the village. The elderly woman stopped, her face filled with relief. "Thank you, kind shepherd," she said, her voice trembling with emotion. "You have a heart of gold. I will never forget your kindness." Mahmud smiled modestly. "It was my pleasure, grandmother," he replied. "It is always a privilege to help those in need." The woman reached into the folds of her shawl and pulled out a small, leather pouch. "This is for you, young man," she said, pressing the pouch into Mahmud's hand. "A small token of my gratitude." Section 8. The Prophecy Unveiled. Mahmud hesitated, unsure whether to accept the gift. He had helped the woman out of the goodness of his heart, not for any reward. "But grandmother," he protested, "I don't need any payment for helping you." The woman smiled knowingly. "Take it, my dear boy," she insisted. "It is more than just a gift. It is your destiny." Intrigued, Mahmud cautiously opened the pouch. Inside, nestled on a bed of soft velvet, lay a beautiful silver amulet. It was shaped like an eye, with a single sparkling gemstone in the center. As Mahmud held the amulet in his hand, he felt a strange warmth spread through his body. The woman watched him closely, her eyes twinkling. "That amulet has been passed down through my family for generations," she said, her voice hushed. "Legend has it that it will bring great fortune and guidance to its rightful owner." Section 9. Destiny Awaits. Mahmud stared at the amulet in astonishment. He couldn't shake the feeling that this was no ordinary gift. There was something mystical about it, something that spoke to a part of him he hadn't known existed. "But grandmother," Mahmud stammered, "how did you know it was my destiny?" The woman's smile widened, and for a moment her eyes seemed to gleam with an otherworldly light. "Because, Mahmud," she said, her voice echoing with ancient wisdom, "I have been expecting you." And with that, the elderly woman turned and walked towards the village, her frail figure disappearing amongst the mud brick houses. Mahmud stood there for a long moment, the silver amulet feeling heavy in his hand. How did the woman know his name, and what did she mean by expecting him? As the sun began its slow descent, casting long shadows across the land, Mahmud knew one thing for sure: his life was about to change forever. The amulet was a sign, a symbol that his destiny awaited him, and he was ready